Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 7th year, 72nd day, first video. Now this is going to be different. I had not anticipated doing this, but a day or so ago it dawned on me I should change what I'm doing here. The Curator's house. Well, here on the farm, Frank's School, Camp Ranch campus, there's a building which I have just neglected for a long time, and now I've suddenly turned my attention to it. I'm working on it, and I thought, you know, what I'm doing is of interest enough that I should probably share this, and there are things I can teach. So I'm going to give a little bit of a history of this building. It was a heifer barn. It's the last building that my grandfather built before he died. I think it was this. I suspect it was the summer before he died, or maybe 2 summers before he died. He built it across the road, and it was to house young cattle. And at that time, that whole hillside was cleared, and that's where he wanted to run the young cattle, keeping them separate from the other cattle. My grandfather, J.J. Camp, James Jones Camp, he loved to build things, farm things. A little bit, I guess I come by it honest. Well, anyway, he built it across the road. Now, it was destined, it's not only that he died and was not able to see to it, the road was raised not too long after that. And as a result of that, drainage became a huge problem there. The water coming down the hillside ran right into that building, and the posts, it was just sitting on not much of a foundation at all, just a few rocks and stuff. And the posts rotted off. It was on its way down. It was falling down. Now, I had my mother, BCA Barbara Camp Antonson. She continued in a way to do what my grandfather had done. Her father, she bought stuff, and she had collected stuff that had to do with farms, and I have her collection basically in my care. Anyway, after my mother died, the farm then had to be divided up, and among the heirs. There were eight heirs total of J.J. Camp, and that was going to have to be sold, that part across the road, and there was simply no hope for the building. Its site had been destroyed, but you see, you couldn't take hay to it anymore because the road was raised. You couldn't go in there. We tried once, but you just couldn't do it. You'd go in there with a hay wagon, but you couldn't. There was no way to come out. It had no future. So I hurriedly moved it. My cousin now owns the property, and she honors what my grandfather did as well, but she's not a carpenter, and it was doomed. And so I moved it over to this side of the road, and I did it hurriedly. Well, maybe I won't raise this stuff now. Now, and the place I put it, well, see, this was all done hurriedly. Now, suddenly, I've got my attention turned to that building again because I've got company coming from Hong Kong. A father and his 2 young sons. These are brave guests, and they know that they are coming to a farm. I think they appreciate how rough and incomplete everything is here. But it dawned on me that could be made, in my mind, I thought, well, it could be a curator's house if this village became a museum, which is sort of what my mother had in mind, to tell you the truth. It would be a perfect place for the curator to live, because where I sited it is right in the middle of a lot of stuff. So I'm suddenly turning my attention on that. Within 2 weeks, I need to get it. I want to see if it's livable, survivable for my guests. All right, so I've turned my attention to it. Now, when I brought it over, it had been on the ground. There was no floor. And so I had to contrive a floor from what I had. And I used just about all the lumber I had around to try to save that building from the floor down. Now, I had hand-hewn logs, but they were rotted. They were very weak. But as I did it, I tried to present the hand-hewing. I had fairly, this is an appearance from Mango. He doesn't show up much. I was actually doing pretty good work and I had a good idea, but I kind of ran out of time. And I neglected it, the building, once I realized about folk huts. And that although that building was unique, folk huts, anyone basically could build folk huts. So anyway, as I brought it over, my son and I tore it down. And my son, I got to hand it to him. He was willing to do that with me. It was dangerous. So it's not a big building, but there wasn't a brace in it, except for the wind braces on the underside of the rafters. And so when we were up in the haymow, the whole building would sway around. So when I brought it over, I made it a study in bracing. I very, very thoroughly braced it. But from the floor down, it was just contriving. And what made it more complicated was that I decided to put it over the site of the principal water wheel of the village, of the many water wheels I'm going to build. And that involves digging quite deeply, and the soil was surprising. It was not dry soil by nature. Well, I can't get into all this. But anyway, the bracing will really show nicely eventually when I do the infill. It's going to be a truly beautiful building, and I think I will be able to do it. So it was over a water wheel. Well, I had not thought that much about it. I mean, there it was, and I thought twice now I went there and tried to make sure it wouldn't fall down because the foundation was so questionable. Twice, once a couple years ago, and I thought, oh, I made it, it won't fall down. And then this year I did it once again. I had to do it to get in there, just to make sure it wouldn't fall down. But then my young friend David, who is building a folk hut in Bedford, he mentioned dunnage. He says, well, you've got all that dunnage, can't you use dunnage? That's 4x4s, 8 foot long. Can't you use the dunnage to go under there and make it strong? And I thought, I can. I now have all that dunnage available, and I don't know why I would not have thought of that. It took him to jog me into doing that, and now that's what I'm doing. I did it yesterday, I'll be doing it today, and I'm convinced I can now make it solid enough. So if I can make this foundation solid enough to be able to go up onto the roof and repair the roof, I'll be on my way to being able to make it safe and then livable. So it'll be kind of a study, and I'm soon, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. I'm going to call it the center of the Curator's cluster. I'm going to give that the name to basically the East Village. It is very interesting, that area, that whole area around where the Curator's house is, and it's all very tight and very close together. So it'll be a perfect place for my guests if I can make it acceptable for them. There are going to be more videos coming. I'm going to go out and make a video of what I'm actually doing to give you an idea of how risky it is and how close to the edge. I've shown it before, but I think I'll wait until I have a little bit more of it under control.